Hello. Welcome. This is Isabel Starck, and welcome to the Empower Hour. I first want to do a couple tests and see if everyone can hear me. So if any of you are connected to the live Q&A, please type in a question or say, yes, we can hear you. Just want to make sure that everything's clear. How to find the Q&A? Actually, that's a good question. So the Q&A can be found on your left side of the screen or right above on the upper right-hand corner. You'll see the grids, the Google squares. So if you click on that, you'll see a little square that says Q&A. So please click that, and you should have access to the questions. Let's see here. Right. Just checking, is that better? Can you hear me now? Just double checking here. Let me get this message out. Could be a slight delay as well. If you're watching through Google, you will be seeing this about 30-second delay. And if you're watching through Google Plus page, it should be pretty much immediate. Just seeing here that all is good. You can hear me. Awesome. Okay, we got it. Well, I'm so excited that you all are here. I've been thinking about this for quite some time. I think I mentioned that this has been months in coming, and I think I've just really been holding myself back to actually be out there, but I'm glad I'm finally here, so excited. And first of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for actually spending your time with me, because I know I have a little one. I know how important our time is and how many distractions we get throughout the day. I've placed this timing where it's right around lunchtime in New York and, you know, pretty much at the start of the morning on the West Coast. And for those of you tuning in from all over the world, I thank you for staying up late or for being up super early in the morning. I'm really so grateful. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And ideally, I just really want to say welcome. This is my first episode, and I don't know if you can tell, I have a little bit of butterflies. I wouldn't call it nervousness, but butterflies. And it's, everybody gets some, you know. I think what happens is sometimes we can freeze ourselves from fear of, you know, what are people going to think? And everybody, you just have to remember, everybody will have an opinion, good, bad, and ugly. So you just need to rise above and know that you are the one that has something to share with the world. And for those naysayers or people who may not be happy with your message, you know, then they're not your tribe, they're not your crew. And I'm really happy that you're here. And I just really wanted to start off with giving you a little bit of background about myself. I've received a lot of messages, especially through the Facebook group, that you're probably a part of, the Fiercely Feminine Entrepreneur. And the biggest question I get is, what do you do? So although you can see I'm pretty social and visible there in the group, I probably did have a little bit of a struggle with being a bit visible. And I've always been great at supporting others and helping them achieve their dreams. And through my story, you'll realize that I have a history of doing that. So to get started, oh, hi you guys, love seeing the messages. So by the way, if you do have the chat box open, you have any questions, please feel free to put the questions in there, and probably checking back around. So for starters, actually, okay, well, I guess I didn't get that one. Just a couple housekeeping. I think I mentioned at the beginning that if you want to type in a message and you're listening through YouTube, you won't be able to type in a message unless you go to the Google Plus page. This is the live Google Plus page, and at the upper, I believe it's probably either your upper right or upper left corner, you'll see the Google squares. If you select that, select Q&A, then you can actually type in the question. If you are listening through Google, Great, we can interact. If you're listening through YouTube, I'm coming to you from about 30 or 60 seconds in the future. So that's some housekeeping. All right, so you think I would know my life story, right, by heart, and I do, but I do have a few bullet points that I just wanted to mention. So if I'm looking down, not looking at you, it's not because I'm nervous, but it's more about just keeping me on track. So I'm going to really start with my work history. We all were born, we all have our childhood, and we all have our childhood stories, but I thought what I'd really do is just really give you an idea of where I started in the workplace. So I actually started in the workplace straight out of high school. The reason for that is I had a little one at the time, and I felt I needed to provide. So straight out of high school, I went to work to support my son. Quickly after that, I actually joined an optical firm, I guess you would say, in Imperial Valley. And within about a week, I had just answered an ad really to help out in the office. My dad instilled in me a very good work ethic, so I think within a week they realized how dedicated I was, and they realized that I had some skills, and they've asked me if I wanted to become an optician. I thought I love math, so yeah, let's do it. So I went on, I became an optician. Within that group, I stayed with them for about 6 years. I went on to another group, stayed on there for about 6 years. And during my time in the optical field, I was actually there for about 18 years total. And it was surprising, huh? So in those 18 years, I started off, like I said, just really helping out in the office, became an optician. I became a manager very early on. And I even went on to actually be a business development manager and covering all of Canada. So this is where I reside now, is in Canada. And I was traveling pretty much 52 weeks out of the year. It was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of Canada. And I got to really sit down and talk to some big players in the business. I worked for a great company, and they were really leaders in the eyewear design field. And then from there, my husband and I, we worked together, and we did distribution for a eyewear company. It's a luxury design eyewear. So there was a manufacturer in Italy. We worked for them for Canada, and we distributed eyewear to business throughout Canada. I got to travel quite a bit, which was really fun there again. And I got to see and meet a lot of great people. And from there, I basically, okay, so let me look at my notes, because I went there, and then my husband and I decided that we wanted to go into the entrepreneur world. He's always been a lover of cars, and I always love to make him happy. And actually anybody around me. I mean, I always worked for great employers, and I love to see the numbers rise and do everything I could, work my long hours, put my time in. But when we decided to actually start our own business, it was totally new to us. We had always had the security of having an employer. And although we did own our eyewear distribution company, we only owned a percentage of it, so we still had the backing of the Italian company. And once we went full force, it was a little nerve-wracking, I can say. We really just went for it. It was basically finding a buyer for our distribution company, our eyewear distribution. And then we went into the car business. So we own currently a tuning shop. So tuning is just basically, we take new cars and we make them better. We specialize in Porsches, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and it's a lot of fun. So even with that company, we learned a lot. That was our first taste at entrepreneurism. And what we did is we quickly got used to the 12-hour work days. The breakfast table was basically where we would start, and we wouldn't end until we came home. So we didn't have too much of a personal life at that point. We were just building. Again, super happy to do it. We had a lot of perks. In my first year of actually driving on the track, because that was one of the perks, is I got to travel to Germany and drive the Nürburgring. So if you don't know the Nürburgring, that is a 27-mile course in Germany, and it was actually closed down because there were so many deaths that happened early on, and now they've reopened a certain section of it. But it's a very, very famous track, and I got to drive it. So that was really, really cool, and one of my highlights for sure. So let me stay back on track. So then after that, we got pregnant, and it was a welcome surprise. We were really trying to get pregnant for a while, and it took some time until we finally just surrendered. And yeah, we had, the surprise of the 2 lines on the stick. So we were really excited. I kind of didn't know how it was going to be this time around because there had been about 23 years in between the first and the second pregnancy. And so basically, got pregnant, had the baby, and literally realized from that moment, they say your life changes, it changed. I didn't want to go back to work. I couldn't see leaving him with anyone. And I decided to be a full-time stay-at-home mom, which was totally fine. My husband, we had already had 5 years under the books. Things were going great at the new place, or maybe at that time we had 3.5 years, 4 years. Anyhow, back on track. So I stayed home, and quickly after that, about a few months in, I started a business. And my business was really about getting moms out of the house. I used to put on events for moms and really just get them out with our babies, because it gets really lonely when you're a stay-at-home mom and you're just staying at home with the baby, and you love the coos and the ahs, but that's all you get. So you just really needed this adult stimulation. So the group started out, and I made some great, great friends that I'm still friends with today. And literally I just kind of found myself just being amongst everybody who was at the same place that I was. It was a perfect spot for me to be at. And I think I was able to really help a lot of moms who they themselves were kind of stuck at home, didn't really realize, what are we doing? A lot of them were pretty much first-time moms. And I even had a dad, 2 dads that actually had a little boy. And they were part of the group as well. So it was really great to get to know these people. So carry on. Basically, after that business, I just realized that I really wanted to use my talents to the best of my ability. At that point, I had really helped others in achieving their goals. And I really helped my husband in achieving his goals. We had a thriving business. Things were going great. We were active. It was just fun. Life was good. But I realized there was still something burning inside of me. And I go back to a story that when I gave birth to my son, I really felt like it gave birth to my desires. Ideas were popping left and right, things to create, things to patent, businesses to start. I didn't know how to contain it all. And I really feel that there was this connection with giving natural birth, that there's more of you to birth and more of you to share with the world. So that's when I realized that I wanted to become a coach. When I started looking at my history and down the road, I was always that person that people would come to and ask for advice or help with what it is that they were working on. And it really ranged from all kinds of things, whether it was technology or motherhood or just like exercising. That's a whole other story. I did some exercising on that stage too. But I knew this is what I wanted to do. It was a great way for me to use my gifts, all my achievements, my talents, my experience, and just really use it to help the world. And that's why I'm here. I learned a lot of tools. I incorporate them. They work for me, and I want to share them with you. So with that said, I wanted to start off with a few questions. I guess if you guys have any questions about business or what it is that you would like to do or see doing, I'm here to help. I do have a website, which I'll get to at the end. I didn't have a chance to add those in yet, but I have a website. I have a great person who's helping me develop a brand new one, so look for that soon. We have this great community of women entrepreneurs who, a lot of them tend to be moms, but there's a lot of youngsters in there, or childless women leading the pack. And yeah, we'd love to have you in that group. Again, it's called Fiercely Feminine Entrepreneur, and it's on Facebook. So with that, I would love to field any questions that you might have. I have a few questions kind of written down because I did ask before we went live. I did ask if anybody had any pertinent questions regarding business, because as I said, I do have business experience on the side of starting a brick and mortar. We also have an online community there. So yeah, please, I'm here, I'm available, and we have another 44 minutes to go. So let's hear what we got to see here. I'm gonna take a look at questions. Before any other questions come up, I wrote down the few that came from the Facebook group, so I'll get started there. How do you balance family and work life? And that is a great question, because I really find that if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't really give to others. So there are people who are of the understanding that there is no balance in life, and honestly, I believe that there is, especially when you have children and you have a spouse, significant other. You really, if you don't have a balance, then you're not doing anything 100%. And I've spent a lot of time on this, because especially with my new son coming, I really felt that I wanted to integrate him, but I didn't, I really wanted to be his primary caregiver. I didn't want someone else to be actually raising my son. So how was I going to earn a living while I could actually be there for him? And I can tell you currently, I am, I do get help finally. Took me a long time, but I was always working around his nap schedule, which was a lot of fun. And obviously with the mommy business, I just took him with me everywhere I went. But now with the coaching, I am probably getting, I haven't totaled it, let me think. So about 20 hours a week, I'm actually getting help. So that means that, or a little bit less than that, but those are hours that I have full dedicated time to work on my business. And that is just while he's with someone. There's still evenings, and there's still nights, and there's still weekends, but you can't give of yourself 100% to your business without something else lacking. So what I do is I've implemented a planning calendar, and I go all the way forward to a year, and I start breaking it down to quarters, and I break it down to a month, and then week, and then day. And when I follow my schedule is when I get the most done. It's ridiculous how much you can get done in a day when you're really just dedicated to it. And that's what I've really done. I start off, I welcome you to actually start off by envisioning what a perfect day for you would be like. So what I did is I actually booked in my family time first. So obviously there's sleep, there's family time, and then you book in around that, and you see when you can work your business. Now with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, with us having our smartphones, you can literally be working or on that phone every waking moment. And when I first started looking at my schedule, I realized that I was wasting about 4 or more hours a day on Facebook. Maybe I was reading or interacting or, trying to type a post. It really added up. It was ridiculous. So I've now set limits on how much time I spend. And for those limits, I actually set a timer. And you know, it kind of sounds funny, but I set a timer, whether if it's 15 minutes that I go on and I do some work on the Facebook group or on my business page or interacting in other groups. You know, that's what I do. So I would say that that's probably the best work-life balance that I've found, is just to really work a schedule, work something that works for you. So whether it be software like Trello or your Google Calendar, I use spreadsheets, so I know it's maybe not, it's a little bit ancient, but I'm looking to actually try out Trello and see if that works. But yeah, just really put the things that matter the most first. So that's what I would recommend. Now, I'm actually going to go to the screen here because we have a couple more questions and we review these others later. So let's see. I have a question by Jess. What is the best way to manage project tasks to ensure you get things done? I keep pushing off my own personal project online course and would love any tips. Oops, where did it go? To help with that. Okay, so I'm going to select this one. So I think you'll all be able to see that I'm actually answering this question. Okay, well, the first thing I would start with, Jess, is setting yourself a deadline. So if you have a program, your online course that you're getting ready to launch, the first thing you should really do is just pick a date that you want it completed. It's, you know, be realistic, and that's another thing. Some people are like, oh, don't be realistic, you just do it. No, you have to be realistic because life happens, you know. I mean, for me, it's milk being spilled all over the kitchen floor right when I have to go on a call. For you, it might be something different, but if you at least have a deadline, a goal, then you can actually break down into smaller chunks, little tasks to get there. And, you know, it doesn't mean that if the time is not scheduled that you can't work on your project, but it does mean that if you have other priorities or responsibilities that you need to take care of, that you actually take the time. So for example, you're working on your project for 2 hours and the timer goes off and you need to attend a family function. Now, depending on what that family function is, I mean, maybe you really need to be there. And you might be on a roll, might be going, but you know, to take care of yourself, it's really better for you to set aside your work, go take care of your family, and then come back to your work and continue. So that's what I would really recommend, is breaking down into smaller chunks so that you can get there sooner, and you will. So don't be afraid, you know, set out your goal and break it down into smaller chunks and work on it daily. I mean, you will find that if there's a project that you're working on that's really important to you, you won't stop thinking about it. You will want to do everything that you can within every free moment that you have. And that's okay too, but again, you have to really look at your work-life balance and make sure that it fits in. So I hope that answered your question. And I'm going to go ahead and select the next one. Let's see. This is the first time, as I mentioned, this is my first live Google Hangout, so please forgive me for being a little bit green here, but let me check here. Select. So I'm selecting a question from Dana Ribetta. Welcome, Dana. So how have you created services that fit around the lifestyle you want while still servicing your people? I really want to up-level and work less while serving more, but I'm conflicted between giving people what they think they want in a format that works for me. Well, I'd have to ask you a few follow-up questions, and I'm going to go here with that you are offering services online. And my first question to you would be, are your services something that you can package into a program. So PDFs, maybe some videos, but that is where really an ideal way for you to be able to reach more people and give them what they want. There's a common adage that, give them what they want, and then you can actually give them what they need. And I have a feeling that there might be some of that in between here too. So working on a program, again, like this with Jess, you set yourself a deadline, you create the program, and do some research. There's a lot of great online courses that you can offer, like membership courses. Zippy courses is one that comes to mind. I know that WordPress also has a membership site that's available, but security would be key. So make sure that you take a look at that. But yeah, if you can package your program, your services into one online course, that would be an ideal way to reach many and make it work in your lifestyle. So if there's a follow-up question to this, or maybe you have a brick and mortar, please message, and I'll try to answer a little bit more there. Another thing that comes to mind, just rereading your question, is offering live events. I'm not certain where you're located, but reaching more people, you could actually hold a live event where more people were actually to come and watch you speak. If that is something that's exciting to you, then I really implore you to research that and look into doing that. There's tons of live events happening all over the world. We're in the series now of people just having events left and right. I mean, spring is here, and I see them all over my newsfeed. So they're definitely something to look into. So there, I hope that helped. Right, let's see. So Jess just had a little feedback about, so I love that. I think I have been setting myself really unrealistic timeframes, which is probably why I kept pushing it off. Thank you so much. My pleasure, Jess. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Let's see. Okay. So let's go back to the other questions that came from the Facebook groups. How do you know what you're meant to do? That was something that really it came to me. So if you're asking me personally what it is that I was meant to do and how I figured that out, it was really doing a lot of self-work, really discovering what I'm good at. I have lists upon lists I'm a list maker. I have tons of lists of things that I enjoy doing, things that people have told me I'm great at, how to really do things that I really love doing, and also have lists of things that I'm not so good at, and even a list of things that I'm good at that I don't really like. So I would really say about figuring out what you're meant to do. Once you've done some work, whether it be meditating or journaling or list making like me, sorry for those English majors out there, it'll really become clear as to where your strengths are. I really didn't understand, I think until the Fiercely Feminine group came to be, that one of my gifts was really bringing people together. I'm very social. I love bringing people together. I appreciate my private time as well, but I'm just a social being. And we as women are naturally the social beings. We're the ones that any couples say, oh, book it with the wife, book it with my girlfriend. She's the one who takes care of the social calendar. So that's what we're meant to do. And if that is for you, then go with it, and you'll be surprised at what comes up. In that group, we not only get together online, we now have monthly events that happen throughout the world, and that was just organic. I mean, I've been hosting events here in Toronto for months. And it just kind of grew from one thing to the next. Now we have about 20 locations throughout the world. And yeah, it's great to see. It makes me so proud and happy to see that there's so many women out there that are desiring this as well. So really, I would just say, look at your strengths and develop your business from there, what it is that you want to offer. So I'm going to go back to the chat box here and take a look at what we've got. Jess has another question. So I want to start a Facebook group when I launch my online course for members, but I realize there is probably some work involved to keep people engaged. Do you have any tips for creating an engaging Facebook group? I absolutely do, Jess, and I hope you're sitting down, because at the launch of a Facebook group, it really requires a lot of work from you to set the tone, to set the baseline as to how this group is going to function. I mentioned about giving birth. My Facebook group really became like a baby to me. As soon as I would wake up in the morning, I just wanted to see like who was engaging, what questions they were asking, what I could help with. And every free moment that I had, I was just on that group. I was engaging. And to get the level of engagement that you really desire, which you have to set that bar. I set mine pretty high. I can always use more and more engagement. And is, just to really lead by example. So if you find yourself maybe not connecting certain days of the week, or it starts to lull, your tribe is also going to feel that. But if you started off with being there daily, choose the hours that you'd like to engage, and also choosing kind of even a theme, whether for the day or for the week, of what you want to offer, then it'll keep people coming back. As you know, and you're a part of, we have introduced the Fiercely Feminine tip, which members from the group actually offer a weekly tip in their respective businesses to the members. You yourself are actually doing Website Wednesdays, which is awesome. And I think a lot of people do come back and they're looking for, the next tip from Website Wednesday. There's, Mindful Mondays with Patricia Stallman, who I'm very happy that she's on. We have myself, Tuesday Tactic. We have Thursdays, Thankful Thursdays with Bonnie Chan, and Fit Fab Fridays with Julia Evans, and Sherry Narani does a social media strategy on Saturdays. So that is something that I think people come back to, and they just get used to knowing, okay, this day, I need help with social media, so I'm going to come on Sherry's day and take a look at her posts. She's done some really cute videos. You should take a look. So I hope that helped and answered your question. Oh, and select that. All right. Oh, this is a great question. So I'm going to select Stefa Lafon. Thanks for being on, Stefa. So Stefa and I are both mommies to young toddlers. So this is a perfect question. So what are your tips for prioritizing what activities you do during that nap time frame? So sorry to hear that you're only still in that nap time frame, because I know it can only be 30 minutes. And on our lucky days, it could maybe be 3 hours. Well, I can tell you, the first and foremost thing I do as soon as I put my son to sleep, and I gently get out of his room, I come downstairs, is I have my list ready. So if I didn't create a list that day, my daily list of to-dos or my schedule, I just jot down, I get a clean piece of paper and I jot down what needs to happen that day. And it might seem like a waste of time, but those 5 or 10 minutes of you just brain dumping onto the page what needs to get done will make it all worth it. The next thing I do is I categorize them. So I take a look at all my to-dos, and I basically say this is, I number them 1, 2, 3, 4, so as a priority. And the 4s are the ones that I don't really need to do, but they got to get done by the end of the day. And the 1s are the ones that really need to happen. And those are something like, a doctor appointment, or you got to go to the bank. Groceries might be number 3 or number 4. Everybody's got to eat. But that's what I do, and it's really worked for me. I hope it works for you. I'd love to hear any feedback that you have on that. So make great use of that 30 to 60 or 90 minutes. Thanks, Stefa. All right. Coming back here. Just going to select Dana. I'm not sure if this is a question here. Yeah, this is from Dana Rivera again. So thanks, Isabel. I've definitely been thinking about an online course. I'm a video editor and video vision mentor, and I work with women entrepreneurs online. Live online events sound wonderful too. I'm thinking of live masterclasses. I think a masterclass would be awesome. We will definitely be in contact soon following this broadcast, but I'm great. I'm happy that you can actually develop an online course. If you have any tips or any questions that about developing your course, or maybe any kind of feedback as to what courses, softwares people have used, please ask questions, send me a private message, and I'd be happy to give you some more tips on that. So great, very happy. Next, we're coming. Here. So, selecting question here. What is an empowerment coach? How can an entrepreneur benefit from working with an empowerment coach? This question comes from Patricia. And I'm really grateful that you asked that question, Patricia, because obviously just being empowered is sometimes something that can actually just hold you back. I mean, you might be empowered within your 4 walls, but you might have this sense of freezing when it's time to make a move, or to go forward, or to become visible. And what an empowerment coach actually does is they really, number one, they hold you accountable to all the goals that you really want. So we all have dreams, we all have this vision of what it is that we want to create. But what oftentimes happens is, we might get inundated with life. We might just get off track because somebody tells us, they just don't believe in us. They really put us down. They can cut our feet out from under us. And for some people, that's enough to really stop them in their tracks and abandon anything that they've done. So with an empowerment coach, what I really do with clients is I just really remind them, hold them accountable to their goals. So getting really clear on them, sometimes that is even something that most women don't even know. I mean, I can say I was probably there myself, that I wasn't totally clear on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. But by working with people and coaches, I was able to really dive into that and just really discover, I had it all there. And it's just really about being held accountable. And accountable in a compassionate way when needed, and sometimes, just really lighting that fire underneath. And it's a tricky situation sometimes, knowing, you really, when you start working with a coach, you really get to know the person on the other end and what works for them. Some people don't really react well to the hammer down kind of coaching, or some of them really are not great at the compassionate side. They just really want you to nail it down. So I would really say that selecting the specific coach that you resonate with, that resonates with you, is the most important, because they're the ones that will be able to keep you accountable to what it is that you want to accomplish. And lifting one another up. I would say that was that is one of the things that I encounter the most in all of my life when I look back, is the negative self-talk. And we really don't realize how much we negative self-talk per day. I read something recently that we use about 60,000 words a day. And about, if you're not thinking about what you're saying to yourself or to others, you know, it really does affect you. So keeping in that high vibration, keeping in that positive self-talk and positive talk outwardly, it really makes a huge difference. So thank you for the question. All right, so let me go back here to, let's see. I have so many ideas. I want to do them all. How do I pick just one? Well, analysis paralysis, I can say. I've had a lot of ideas and I throw them up on the wall, see what sticks, see what doesn't stick. But when you're able to just try and really kind of step into what it is that you truly desire, that's going to make the big difference for you. So if you have tons of ideas, you know, maybe start doing a little bit of research on them. See what really does resonate for you. What do you feel that you want to eat, breathe, and sleep with every day while you're creating it? Because when you're starting your business, that is, it becomes a part of you. And if the desire is not strong enough behind that, you're not going to be able to see it through to the next level. And when you come up against an obstacle, because you will, in more than one, you know, you've got to be able to push through that. So choosing a path to follow on your career is of the utmost importance to make sure that you have this really strong desire to see it through. So I hope that answers your question there. Let's see what else we've got. All righty. I've never done anything like this. Any tips on getting past the fear? A lot of tips on getting past the fear. We all suffer from a little bit of fear. You know, maybe it's fear of heights, you know, fear of death. It's a big one, especially when you have children. And, you know, the fear of maybe not looking, or I'll just say, just looking stupid in front of people, failing. I think that's probably the biggest fear. And I have this motto that I go by, and you know, but there are no failures. There's only lessons. Every failure, if you look at it, you choose. You have a choice to look at that fear or that failure and say, wow, you know what, it just took me out, and you can look at it negatively and it'll just totally break you down. And maybe it'll prohibit you from restarting. But if you look at that failure and you can, there's always a lesson inside the, always. All you have to do is look for it. You know, maybe it's communication, maybe it's, you know, actually motivation or lack of starting. But there's always a lesson within every failure, and I do recommend that you take a look at that. So I hope that helped. Let's see where we are now. Thank you very much for the love, Yvonne. Great to have you here. Let's see. We have, I will be honest, I printed off some more questions that were in my office, and they did not appear on the back side of my paper. So I apologize for questions, or I'm going to miss any questions. I know that there was a number of them that were on the second sheet, so you'll have to stay tuned for next week for that one. Let's see. Actually, this was one of the questions that did come up, is what's the most important bit of advice to someone starting out? My most clear advice on that is to be very, very clear as to why you're doing it. Your why will actually drive you. Sorry about that noise. Your why, like why you're in business, will actually drive you, catapult you, light the fire underneath you, and keep you going towards your dream. Your why is something that the people around you will experience and feel, and will get them motivated to help you. Once you're so super clear on your why, why you're in business. We're all in business to make money, by the way. It's not like we're just trying to give away our services. We're all here to make money. But I'm talking about the why as to what is the real reason. Could it be to provide, food and shelter for your family? To see your son or your daughter have experiences that maybe you didn't have a chance to have when you were growing up? Could be fame. Some people want fame. That's totally fine, but you have to be totally clear on what it is that you want and why it is that you want it. And that is my tip. So hope that helps. Let's see. I'm taking a drink of water here, if you don't mind. Just talking to the camera by yourself, it just, you have to rehydrate. So the next question is, how much money will I need to get started? And this came from a young lady, I'm paraphrasing there. This came from a young lady in the Facebook group who is looking to start her brick and mortar business. And from my recollection, she is a photographer and DJ. I believe there's a combination there of the two. So how much money did it take to get started? I think it really depends on the business. If you're looking to actually have a studio, there's a lot of fees that are going to be incurred with the equipment that you're going to need. Now, if you're already a photographer and a DJ, you've probably already got your camera, you've got your keyboard, you've got your computer. You probably have a lot of the tools already, and you just really need a venue to have people come into your studio. So with photography, lighting is key. We all know that lighting is really what makes photography the best. So choosing the right location is going to be very important. And for the most part, better locations are going to cost more money. So really pay attention to how much budget you want to give to your space. I can't remember where it is that you were calling in from. I really can't remember. I'm sorry. I think it's San Francisco. But take a look at classifieds or look on Kijiji and just have a look at and see what the spaces are actually running for. Most places are going to ask for maybe a 3 to 5 year lease, so you have to be prepared. And I would say to really give you a number, it depends on the country, it depends on the city, but figuring out what your monthly expenses would be, that would be, again, your lease. That was going to be, make sure you put in all of your utilities, because those are added fees, any memberships that you belong to, your taxes. Taxes are very important. So once you figure out what your monthly fee is, it would be ideal to be able to have a full year's worth of funds to be able to cover that year. That's in a perfect world. A lot of people don't have that. We started our own business. We actually had $60,000 to get started, and we did a lot of mechanical work. So one of our machines was $20,000, and we had 3 of them. So really working, having a good relationship with your bank and having a line of credit is very helpful there. But so that you don't have to worry about things, to have a full year's worth, I guess to answer your question, a full year's worth to be able to take care of all the expenses for the year would be ideal. And if not, make sure that your credit cards are clear. We used a lot of credit on our side to be able to make our business grow. And you know, you just keep going. Just keep going. Don't give up. All right. So let's see. We've got 10 more minutes. I'll answer this last question unless there's any more here in the chat box. Oh, that was the question. Thank you, Natalie. So yes, photo booth, photographer, thanks for answering my question. Great. I know you had a ton of questions, so it's actually, all your questions are on the other page. If you want to type in a couple more, I can try to answer maybe one or two before we get to the end here. So thank you. And I'll just select here and answer. Okay. So let me take a look here at the last one I've got. Natalie, I'm going to give you a chance. If you want to go ahead and ask the question, you can type it right in before I go on to this last one. Okay, I'm going to answer this in the meantime. So the question was, I know what I want to do, but I don't have any background in what it is that I want to do. I just have this desire to do something, and I don't have any background in it. So for that, number one, I would say you probably do have some kind of background. You probably have some kind of experience or gifts, or natural gifts or talents that come along with doing what it is that you want. You didn't actually tell me what it is that you do, so I'm doing hypothetical here. And once you actually have getting more experience. There's so many ways to get experience. You know, you can volunteer. You can actually be an apprentice. We're apprentices in our business, in the car business. And while we did pay them, it was a minimal wage, but you still, you know, you can get a lot of experience by working with a company who has what it is that you want to offer. And it's just really about going out and getting it. You know, read the books. You know, see the books I got here. I mean, I read a lot. Now I'm actually really onto audiobooks, which with a toddler, that really helps. But get the knowledge. You know, there are a ton of online courses out there. There's a ton of blogs that you can read. But I will just give a word of caution with that is be very selective with who it is that you're going to learn from. Make sure that they've actually had some background in that. You know, a little bit of knowledge, some experience themselves. Some success would be great, but you know, some people have just really gone through the ditches and they know what not to do, and even reading some of that is great. So one of the things that kind of irks me a little bit is when I see so many people out there. This is the classic, I don't have kids, but this is how you should parent your kids. That's one for me that I just can't go for. I really feel that you need to have some form of experience. And if you don't have it, what you got to do is go out and get it. So I really implore you to go out and, like I said, research, join some groups, get as much knowledge as you can, and yeah, don't give up on your dream. All right, so let me take a look here. Those are all the questions for now. And like I said, I had a whole other page. You'll have to stay tuned for next week about that. But it looks like we're getting here to the final minutes. And I want to take this time to, again, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking a full hour out of your day to spend with me. This, again, was my first episode in the Empower Hour, and I'm so happy that I actually got through it. I didn't stumble too much, I hope. I can't wait to see the replay. But, you know, having you here really means so much. And I made it through the whole hour without crying, which is actually a great thing for me. So thank you again. I do want to remind you that if you haven't yet, there are other ways that we can actually connect along with this weekly airing of the Empower Hour. And one of them is, my Facebook group, which I've already mentioned a few times, and that's Fiercely Feminine Entrepreneur. So please join us in the group. We're always excited to have more women, sorry guys, more women join our group and really support and inspire one another. As a collective, we are just so much more than just us in our homes being solopreneurs. Next, I have my business page. My business page is facebook.com/Isabel Starck. That's ISABEL STARCK. And there, I post up any ideas or thoughts about my business and what my beliefs are. So I hope that you can take a look at that. And finally, I have my website coming soon, and that'll be isabelstarck.com, which is currently being worked on by the wonderful Jess. So you will be seeing that coming up shortly. If you do go to that page, though, we do have a landing page that literally just has an option for you to sign up to my newsletter. And my newsletters go out once a week as of right now. And there, again, I share more tips and ideas about empowerment, about business, about random thoughts that I might have that I think would be of service to you. So with that, I really thank you. I'm just going to check over the chat box. I see some messages coming in. Let's see. Oh, this is great. So thank you so much. Yeah, the support here has been wonderful. I couldn't have been blessed with better people to share this first episode with, and my heart is full. I'm just really excited. I'm here to help, and I really hope that I at least gave you a little bit more of the opportunity to get to see who Isabel is, because like I said in the beginning, I did not necessarily struggle, but just I wasn't as visible or as open with what it is that I'm sharing. And I hope now you've gotten a better picture or idea, and that we'll be able to see each other, sometime soon, whether it's here on the Empower Hour or throughout the world at one of the monthly socials that we have, which, I do want to speak a little bit more about the Fiercely Feminine group, because it was mentioned to me recently that we need an outline as to what is being offered in the group, because there's so much content. The live events, the monthly events take place on the last weekend of each month. And again, they are really happening all over the world. There's Brisbane, there's Singapore, Manila is new, London, and various places here in North America. So again, those happen on the last weekend of the month. They're available by selecting the events tab on the page. And the next is the Fiercely Feminine group, or the Fiercely Feminine tip, which I mentioned earlier and broke down that once a week there's a new tip from a few of our members in the group, and you will see every quarter there's going to be a rotation of women. We have a waiting list now for the next quarter, so if you're interested in becoming a tip giver, please send me a message and I'd be happy to put you on the list. And let's see what else is happening. Yeah, with the tips, there's some pretty great stuff in there. There's a business plan, there's, working on your actual mission statement. Please have a look, and those are hopefully some great resources that will help you be able to birth your business. So with that, if there are no other questions, I'm just, again, I want to say thank you, and I'm very grateful for all of your time, and I really look forward to seeing you next week on the Empower Hour. So let me just quickly glance here. We have a thanks so much from Dana. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Natalie, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you so much for the love, Yvonne. That's great. I'm really happy that you can make it. Colleen Warren, there you are. Hi, so great to have you. I think you're coming in from Ottawa. And our newest location for the monthly social, I might add. And Stefa. Yeah, this has been great. I thank you once again from the bottom of my heart, and I look forward to seeing you all next week or in the group. So it is 1 o'clock. I'm going to say good night, good afternoon, and good morning to wherever you're listening from. Thank you very much. Much love. Bye.